On behalf of our co-host WISeKEY and Geneva Business School, a huge thank you to everybody for attending and joining us today. As many of you know, Geneva Business School is launching a new MBA program, EMBA program on fine art management. The first intake will be in February 2022, and the applications are open. The idea is that people meet and network with the arts industry at a high level and learn all the intricacies of the art world and the art industry, so that you can all become Jill and Jacks of all trades. If you want further information, the website is gbsge.com. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Carlos Moreira. He's the CEO of WISeKEY. Many of you already know him from the first webinar, which we held on NFTs. This is a catch-up now, 6 months later, to see how the industry's evolved and how the medium has developed in the last 6 months at a very, very rapid race. It's a hot topic and it continues to be so. I'd also like to add at this stage that I've been appointed art director of the WISe.ART marketplace for entrusted NFTs. So if you require any information on that, look us up on WISeKEY or WISe.ART. Be more than happy. The bubble, I think the initial bubble with Beeple that we talked about 6 months ago, that was a sale for $69 million, has burst. And since then, lots has happened. New artists have come up. And all the big auction houses have embraced the marketplace as well, which is great to see. It's very, very active at the moment. So thank you, Carlos, again for joining us. I'd also like to welcome all our panelists. We've got Ms. Saskia Draxler of Draxler Nagel Fine Art in a gallery in Cologne. So thank you very much for coming. We met a couple of weeks ago at Art Basel, or I met with Clara at least, and it was very good to see you there, and you had NFTs and digital art showing. So we'll talk more about that later, but it was great to see you there.
Yes, thank you.
Then we've got Fabian Bocart, who was also with us in our first webinar 6 months ago. He works for Artnet, and Artnet being the biggest database for tracking art prices in the art market. I'm sure you've been extremely busy since we last spoke, so thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Sixtine.
All the way from New York, so again, it's a little bit early for you, and I apologize, but apparently it's life back as usual and business starts early, right?
It is.
All right, we've got a lot of ground to cover today, so please, for the audience, you can ask questions. Just hit the Q&A button down below here. And also, I need to inform you that you are being recorded. The whole webinar series is being recorded, and then we will distribute the channels on the YouTube, on the Geneva Business YouTube and all the other social media channels. So you'll be able to see it again, or share it, or like it, or do all the things that you're supposed to do on the internet. So the questions we will take one at a time as they come up. Please feel free to write them as you want and address them to whichever speaker you want to talk to. So maybe I can ask each and one of you, and I'll ask Saskia first. Ladies come first still in our world, to introduce yourselves. And also, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Geneva Business School is running for the first time an MBA in art management. So perhaps you can say a few words what you think about that, if you think it's a good idea or not, and why.
So yes, hi, my name is Saskia Draxler, and together with Christian Nagel, I run a gallery, Nagel Draxler, located in Berlin, Cologne, and Munich, which was originally founded by Christian in 1990. And the gallery was always known for its avant-garde positions. And to make a long story short, when we first heard about, or when we always observe like new things in technology as well as in art, because technological changes bring cultural, political, social changes, which artists always are interested in. Yeah. So when a year ago, the crypto aristocracy pushed into the art world, we were looking into it, and we were lucky enough to communicate with an old friend of ours, Kenny Schachter. And it was soon clear that we're gonna have the first NFT, blockchain, crypto art related show at our Cologne gallery.
Fantastic. Well done.
And it was an extremely interesting experience, a learning experience throughout. And it was immediately clear for Christian and myself that we're going to pursue this in addition to our classical program, which of course will still be the majority of the gallery. But we felt, you know, if we don't do this, we might as well retire on Mallorca, you know? And
place to go.
And so we took it to Art Basel, where you and us met, where we implemented a cabinet, a special cabinet called the Crypto Kiosk into our booth. And again, there it was amazing how much feedback we got for this and how many people actually try to explore, try to ask us questions about where it's going, etc., etc. And on the spot in Basel, we decided to cancel our cancellation for Art Basel Miami, because of course, this is the next, you know, big hub for, you know, for focused attention on the phenomena.
Fantastic. Yeah. So it's good. So you'll probably be the only European gallery in Basel, in Art Basel Miami.
We'll see. Yeah,
we'll see.
But yes, that's so far about us, and we are still learning in the field. We are sharpening our instruments, and we are mostly interested in artists who work with the phenomena in a structural way, in a social way, political way. Not so much at this point in artists who decide, you know, they want to put their art they've been making to date into the field, like Katharina Kross and Jeff Koons, you know, Erwin Wurm, they all start making NFTs, but this for us is a less interesting approach. You know, we looking into the generation of artists who are digital natives and who work with code, who work with a blockchain, and create their art from scratch there.
Okay, that's very interesting, because that was going to be my next question. Will you convert the traditional artist into the digital, but that you're going to sort of start a new, how can I say, school of artists with just digital people?
Yeah,
digital,
and one last thing, I'm sure like everybody on the panel, of course, that we experienced also a lot of resistance, and especially from our colleagues saying, oh yes, like we don't believe in it, it's good that you're doing it, but you know, this kind of stuff. But this has always happened to us with no matter what art we showed, you know, because also avant-garde art in the conceptual way, institutional critique, etc., even some kinds of paintings evoke questions like, oh, we don't understand this, you know, we don't. So we feel like we are in a continuum of what we've been doing as an avant-garde gallery, and not in a rupture or radical change.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Well, just before we started, Fabian and I were discussing that there wasn't actually, since contemporary art, there hasn't been a revolutionary movement. So it's about time to change. So that's good that you're seeing that. Now, Carlos, maybe you can lead on from what Saskia was saying, that people don't believe in it. You've been a firm believer for years. So maybe you want to explain a little bit about what you've been doing and WISeKEY?
Absolutely. Nice to talk to you and Fabian and the team. So for me, I am running, as you know, a cybersecurity company. Our vision from always was how to protect individuals, humans, against the fourth industrial revolution, which is there and is emerging as a major threat. And the NFT is basically your access card to the metaverse. So the big picture of this is that the way to get into the metaverse is through the non-fungible token economy. This is the business model. Otherwise, there's absolutely no incentive to do it. the way to get into the metaverse requires gates. So you have to build trusted gates, which is what those marketplaces are, and WISe.ART is one of them, done by WISeKEY, OpenSea, and others are others. And then you are bringing a total new type of people into the metaverse, and before we're not there, they were not even interest of it, which is the I call it the emotional economy. Emotional economy is people like artists that can contribute to the discussion on how this is going to be expanding, but from a total different angle, an angle where their uniqueness, their feelings, their emotions can be reflected into the metaverse. So what we do, I mean, we have done a platform for many years. Last year, I started to integrate blockchain technology into identity management. So the idea that every object, everything, every person, every document, every art needs to have an identity, like a birth certificate. And that birth certificate should be able to be tokenized immediately, without no restriction, without no barriers. So we started to do that. I mean, my vision was that not only digital things can be NFT, but also physical things. You know, we are in a physical world where tables, cars, jewelry, watches, and things, and they are not yet on the metaverse. And we need to bring them to the metaverse. And the only way to bring them to the metaverse is by establishing a digital identity at the object level, which can then be converted into a digital twin. So WISeKEY has a lot of patents. We actually have a micro chip company that produces semiconductor. We are the only one left in Europe doing that. We have also an AI company that is able to analyze data. And then we have a cybersecurity company in Geneva, which is the original company that analyzes the cybersecurity elements of that. So all that together, those are the pillars we use to build the platform, what we call the WISe.ART or trusted NFT.io. So this is a platform which is still being integrated. We did a partnership with Ocean Protocol. We are now deploying a full Ocean Protocol WISe.ART integration. We did also a very interesting partnership with Casper Labs in the United States, as we are integrating with them in some areas, and with Polygon, as we also obviously look into the price of those transactions, and we wanted to reduce as much as possible the price. So now WISe.ART, which is the name of the commercial marketplace, it is becoming slowly a major reference in the NFT world. And I am dealing the high end, and this is the way WISeKEY likes to work. It's always pushing the technology to the stream to show how very complex things can be done. So we took very expensive watches and we did NFT on them, physical watch with a digital twin. We are actually connecting a NFT transaction from space, as WISeKEY has also developed a Pico satellite, which is an IoT satellite, which is going to be launched by SpaceX by the end of the year. And we're going to be sending a cryptographic key, a signal key from the satellite all the way down to an Earth station, which is going to generate an NFT. We are working with a fraction NFT technology. So imagine, you know, the Gioconda or the Meninas, and just break them into pieces and create an NFT for each piece of them, and being able then to create an economy around those pieces so people can buy from each other that fraction NFT. We're also working on serious NFT projects. So we are working on humanitarian causes. We have been approached by Red Cross, the United Nations, many international organizations, and they are saying, hey, this is an amazing way for us to raise money, you know, because we can raise money by doing NFT of historical documents or international treaties or very famous pictures of things that those organizations have in their museums. And they are not able to monetize. I went actually to the Vatican, I met them. 60% of the art of the Vatican is still on boxes. So obviously they are not able to monetize that, and they need monetization because they need to reinvest into the infrastructure. So we are convinced then to NFT some of their masterpieces. And basically, for me, as I say, it's not only a way to enter big time on the NFT as a major player, but also to learn on how we can bring the world to the metaverse. The big picture here is that the metaverse now is empty, and companies like Facebook and others, they want to control the metaverse. They want to monopolize the metaverse, which makes absolutely no sense, as the metaverse is based on the same decentralized views and a spirit of blockchain technology, which basically you cannot control. So that's very much in line with Fabian's views on open source and how we can use things that they are not locking us into proprietary systems. Yeah. So anyway, during the next months, there's going to be very exciting months. We have amazing pipeline coming. We have very big NFT coming. By doing very complex NFT, we also bring in less complex NFTs, as the idea of the platform is to integrate everybody. Yeah. And we are also looking into other type of NFT, which is knowledge NFT. And this is a very complex thing. WISeKEY has an artificial intelligence company attached to it. So we control a lot of the knowledge being created by this AI algorithm. So the algorithm learns. And the idea was, why can we not NFT knowledge? And this is something that we are also looking into it. So the next generation of NFTs are not going to be only art, it's going to be intellectual property, it's going to be knowledge, it's going to be patents, it's going to be things that basically will empower the NFT community to continue growing in terms of value. The value has multiplied several times. Anyway, Fabian knows better than me, as he has been monitoring that. And I think we are a bit out of the hype model. I think during the last 6 months, we have these NFTs for everything, the NFTs for worth nothing. Now we are entering into this regulated phase where we are becoming more conscious of what NFT does and what NFT doesn't do. And I think this is going to create a massive economy, because the big play is the metaverse. The metaverse is where the final destination. This is the Wild West of the internet. People are colonializing the metaverse. So we need to get there before any other will put in the metaverse in a situation that we are now facing with social media or other monopolistic environments.
Well, thank you for that. That was very insightful. But from what I understand, and I'm actually happy about that, is that there is some slowing down, and that these incredible amounts of money, maybe, or the cowboy, the far west side aspect of it, is being regulated a little bit. And that also, like Saskia, I think it's interesting to work with people who are embracing the technology and the new medium, rather than just join in the NFT world for a quick buck and turn around. So Fabian, as we speak, have you noticed that you have different collectors coming in, different buyers in the art market, and that they have different patterns or habits in the last 6 months?
Well, there have been a few changes indeed. As you may know, Artnet has several business units, one of which is Artnet News, which is our very popular publication. We offer newsletters and online news on a daily basis. And what we've observed is a significant increase in interest for anything related to NFT in general. Okay. Not only by our existing audience, but also we had an influx of a new type of audience coming from all sorts of platforms that are not traditionally Artnet's audience, and that has increased our readership there. So definitely in terms of information, people are looking to understand what and how the NFTs are integrated into the art world. So we don't only see people from the art world being interested into NFTs, but maybe more interestingly, people from the tech world starting to be interested into art and the dynamics that exist there. So that's great.
That was bound to happen, but it's good that it is happening.
Yes, yes, and it is somehow linked to the idea that and you mentioned a bubble bursting. I'm not sure we can call it a bubble bursting, but for sure there is education that is ongoing to this market, and we see that people are getting more and more educated about what is a good NFT and what is a bad one, what are scams, and what are straight investments. And so this is also part of the ongoing process, the development of this market, where we see a lot of bad players disappearing even over the last 6 months. And that's very encouraging, and serious players engaging into more robust activities. So
That's
that's
all right. I noticed that, well, the major auction houses have embraced this trend now, and they're also selling. Just recently, last week, there was Aoki, who's actually, I mean, I knew Steve Aoki as a DJ, and now he came in with an art piece, and he's also looking after, I think, the platform at Sotheby's. And then, of course, we've got Damien Hirst, who's your traditional artist, but always been very inventive and innovative in a way. And he brought out, I mean, I'm sure you all know, but he brought out this currency artwork, which was, it's 10,000 pieces, which he didn't auction. He sold for a fixed price, and it was oversubscribed about 6 times. I think they were selling for £2,000 each, and he had planned to sell 10,000 and sold in the end. Well, he didn't sell, he allocated 10,000, but had 60,000 subscriptions. And I think the interesting point there is, because as you were saying before, Fabian, you could see some hedging from financial companies being interested as well. And that's exactly what Damien Hirst was doing, because he's asking the buyers of these NFTs to hold them for a whole year, for 365 days, and then ask the actual owner if he wants to sell the NFT, or if and keep the piece, get the physical artwork, or if he wants to keep the NFT. So that's already also has, it includes a component of volatility in the cryptocurrencies, which I think is quite interesting as well.
Yes, it's very much a sort of financial instrument, very similar to a future contract or a swap, where you get delivery of physical artwork, but with the advantage of the NFTs that if you don't get the physical artwork, you still get to keep the NFT, which is an interesting concept.
That's right.
So that's a play that Damien Hirst has done, and there are other initiatives by other artists looking at producing similar things and playing with this medium, and that's the extraordinary part of this technology, is the sophistication that we see now, that goes hand in hand with also sophistication of the technology of the smart contracts, of the different blockchains that are being used, and this is all going very fast.
Yeah.
At Artnet, we are looking to sell NFTs also on our auction platform in a secondary market, and it's a project that is ongoing. A sale is coming soon. We're inviting consignors to contact us, by the way, if they want to offer NFTs on our platform. But generally speaking, it's extraordinary the pace at which the artworks themselves are evolving. Absolutely. In terms of technology behind them, and the hybrid between art and gamification that we can see, that is absolutely fascinating.
I think, Saskia, you will agree with that. I'm sure you've seen evolution already in the few months that we've been working with it.
Yes, I think what's the interesting aspect of the time right now, is that there's no standard way of dealing with it. I would say blockchain NFT is historically at the stage where the internet was in 95. Yeah. So there's a lot of experimentation. And when Damien Hirst, for instance, as soon as a buyer decides for the NFT, the physical artwork is destroyed, that's one model of dealing with it. But clearly, I would say Damien Hirst is an artist who deals, who's very much, active in a, what I would call neoliberal way. Yeah, you see there's a clear shift of culture from possession to trading.
Yeah.
And what we experience through NFT is an entirely shift to the culture of trading. It's about shared ownership, if you want to put it positively, or it's about fragmented value that is, which you can see. It's a very ambivalent change of culture. It opens the way to through and through a neoliberal economy, but on the other side, there is this utopia of a decentralized world, So I think this is the interesting moment right now, and it's thrilling to be in the middle of it. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's a tradition. I mean, I come from the gallery world as well, and we would hold a piece, like if we bought it at auction, we sort of hid it for years, basically, so that people would forget about it before we put it back on the market. And now, like 20, 30 years down the track, NFTs are being exchanged by the hour. And what's interesting too, there's the component of royalties. Like now with an NFT, there's that blockchain, and the artist, the original artist, will get a royalty every time that NFT changes hands again, which is also something new, I think.
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions already, so thank you very much from everybody for participating. We've got greetings from Lake Constance, from Kreuzlingen. We've got somebody saying he's very interested in NFTs, and people are leaving their addresses. So we'll record all of those and get back in touch with you. There's somebody there called VJ is interested in NFTs with a range of high-end celebrity clients in Hollywood and UK. And so he's they're interested in the opportunity. So if he's got that, how can I say, network, well, then we're happy to talk to you as well, of course. Remember that the Artnet platform is open, WISeKEY platforms is open as well. So, you know, we're happy to hear from you. And we've got your email, VJ, so we'll get back in touch. And then we've got somebody saying hi from New York. That's Mark. So thank you very much. It's very early for you too. So I'm glad you're here. That's about it. I don't think there's any more questions. Thank you, Anna. We've got Anna in the backstage here answering the questions as well, which is great. Carlos, when you imagine the WISe.ART platform, and I know for fact, because I'm on it now, is that there's increasing demand every day, and there's very imaginative projects which aren't, as you said, which are not just involving art. So we've got, you know, we've had already on the platform, we've had watches, we've had a collector basketball shoes with a Kobe Bryant charity component as well, which is another nice thing to add on, is that people can raise money in museums, etc. How do you see that evolving? Like, are museums going to jump on the bandwagon as well to maybe raise funds for their own exhibitions and things like that?
Yeah, the demand is exponential on NFTs, and as I mentioned before, that is touching many different aspects. But there's a problem yet, and maybe we didn't discuss that here, is that the platforms themselves are not 100% operational. I mean, Fabian is developing their platform. We just launched a beta 1, and by November we will have the full platform outside. Other platforms are facing problems. OpenSea got 40 NFT disappear from the platform. So cybersecurity is a major issue on the platforms. I mean, in terms of the platforms, we are like we were in the year 2000 with websites. You know, everybody created a website, and then only few survived because they were the serious one. So you have a market of everybody trying to do a platform, an NFT platform marketplace. Some of them, they have no idea what they are doing, and they are creating a lot of frustration because basically people are having problems. One, they mint the NFT, one day the NFT disappears, or the platform gets hacked. So I think only very serious player will survive on the platform play. And you will have something like an Amazon on NFT emerging, which will be the one that will be grasping nearly the entire market. I don't think there's a room for many platforms. I think there's a room for dominant platforms. Now, what we are doing, and we are making a considered investment. I put an allocation of $44 million in NFT platforms. So this is a serious investment from our side. What we want to be the Amazon on NFT. I mean, our vocation is to be the most secure, more trusted platform on the internet. So WISe.ART can run not only a very complex NFT, but also it can have a very strict procedures in, for instance, KYC, doing KYC for NFT investors. There's a lot of dark money from the dark web moving into cryptocurrency, which then can be used to do money laundering on NFTs. Imagine, you know, somebody that wants to clean $5 million and sell and buys an NFT with that money, and then that NFT, that money goes to a charity, right? So the charity will inherit the money from the dark web. So there's a lot of things happening around that. then cannot happen, because so that will be a disaster from charities to receive money from the dark web. So we install a very strict digital identification method, not only from the object, but also for the person. We also injected a KYC, like a financial transaction. You have to disclose who you are. You have to show your password. I mean, you need traceability back. This is obviously putting some kind of burden on the operational. Some people don't like, because they like to go and sell NFT very fast and move away. And some people have complained about to be heavy, but it needs to be heavy. You know, it's like opening an account in a bank. You cannot just do it in a few seconds. You need to go through a process. So this is where we want to be. We also did something, because again, my vocation is not to become an NFT platform. We are a technology company. So we are also working with organizations that do not want to get into the complexity. I mean, we already invested $7 million in doing this. And then we're going to invest one more. So not everybody wants to do their own NFT platform. I don't think it makes any sense. They would like to white label existing NFT marketplaces. And this is something that we are also working. So we are talking to auction houses. We are talking to government museums to say, you might be, elprado.com/NFT, and then you do NFT with us. And we take care of all the complex areas related to the NFT. So you are free to concentrate on the art and the emotional part. So this is where we are leading. I mean, obviously, at the same time, we are identifying very, I would call it symbolic NFTs that can disrupt the way things are done traditionally, which is the vocation of WISeKEY. And we are teaming with whoever wants to do a complex NFT, something that has not been done before. We love to team with that organization or person.
Yeah, it's also wise, I think, that when you go into a new business, you stick to your core business. Like Saskia, you're a gallery manager, and I mean, your background is art, and Fabian, you're an analyst and data cruncher. But I think behind that, there are providers who know what they're doing. So it's important that everybody unites and works together, so that the best result comes out in the end for the end user, the consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a question from Robert Nguyen. He says, can I own not only a unique NFT, but also a unique digital file of the image itself? Mm-hmm. So that maybe goes to Saskia.
Yes, I think that's a tricky one, because an NFT is actually just a certificate that is on the blockchain, and the digital image is very often put on a very conventional website. It's the digital, mirror of that certificate. So the short answer is, I think, but maybe Carlos knows more. The short answer is no.
Yeah. You are exactly spot on. Being a certificate, which is 100% what you're saying, to be honest, what is the representation of that certificate is not the important thing. The important thing then, you have a certificate which proves that you own that asset. The technology, we are working now with companies that they have done an amazing work in hologram technology. And I got a case where somebody say, if I buy a very expensive watch, NFT, so I buy the certificate that proves that NFT is equal to the ownership of the watch. Actually, I don't want the watch. What I want is to create a three-dimensional image of the watch that will spin off in my living room. And that image, which is an holographic image, will embed the certificate of the ownership of the watch. So the technology that is going to enhance the visual representation of the NFT is going to become exponential. I mean, in the metaverse, you can do whatever you want. There's no limit to the creation, right? So the answer is yes. I mean, it's a certificate that opens to you endless possibility of representing that certificate in the metaverse, right? With all the possibilities of having a 3D immersion, quantum, holographic technology. I mean, all that is going to converge around that certificate, which is your NFT.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fabian, how are you approaching it for your own platform? Are you choosing welcoming artists? Are you vetting them? What are you doing?
So our platform for NFT is the same as the traditional art. It's an auction platform. So we are not going to offer online transactions like OpenSea or Foundation, for instance. It's all secondary market. And we are welcoming new artists or artists who want to sell art on our platform, provided that they are either existing contemporary artists with a history of track record at auction, or that they have a history of successful sales in the crypto world already. So that's the criterion. When it comes to digital assets. So if the artist, for instance, is a digital artist, she can submit the art to us, and we will encode the certificate, the token, ourselves and put it on the blockchain. That's a service we can provide, but we are not going to offer an automated online service to do that. It's custom made.
All right, well, there you go. I've got another question from Marcella Moza. I know Marcella, she's in Canada, so hello, it's early for you as well. Where does an NFT exist if the host platform no longer exists in the future? So can a platform disappear? The blockchain is always there, right? It doesn't disappear.
So that's, I'm going to jump on this because that's my favorite topic. So it's a very legitimate concern. Certificate, as Saskia mentioned, often points down to a traditional website, which can be a platform. And that's a huge risk. That if the digital asset is hosted on a web server, it means the digital asset, the artwork itself, is not decentralized. And your token, if the platform disappears, the token will point to an empty address and you will lose your asset. And that's a huge problem that is not currently addressed by most marketplaces. And I know Carlos is very sensitive to this question too. And so the important criterion when buying an NFT, and that answers also maybe one of the other questions we had in the audience, which is what is a good NFT compared to a bad NFT? I would say make sure that the asset points to another decentralized system, like a system called IPFS, or another blockchain that hosts files like Filecoins, something that is also decentralized, because websites do disappear, companies do disappear, and you don't want your asset to disappear with them. So that's an important risk to manage.
So it's a little bit like you were saying the last time we spoke, that you're diversifying your storage areas. In a banking system, you diversify your assets as well. Your asset allocation has to be in percentages, a quarter in real estate, a quarter in stocks, and etc. And so there you're sort of saying the same thing as well, not own all on the same place, right?
Yeah, not only not own on the same place, but if any of those places are centralized, just don't, well, my opinion is not to buy on centralized places. Is if the asset is linked to a single website and is not decentralized, it is a huge risk. That's my perspective. Fortunately, most marketplaces offer decentralized solution on IPFS. So the risk is limited, but the users must be careful.
Okay, well, that was clear. I hope we've answered your question, Marcella. We have another Canadian on the line, Alexandra. Thanks for being here. She's saying hello from Edmonton. Fabian, are you able to mention a few main features that characterize a good NFT in comparison to a bad NFT?
Yes, so the good NFT is as the file that is decentralized, as I mentioned. The good NFT also has its smart contract code published on the blockchain and available on Etherscan, which is a system online. So anyone should be able to read the smart contract. And why it's important, you want to make sure that the smart contract does not contain any backdoor that will allow the creator of the smart contract to come in and mess with your NFT. Because a smart contract is a contract that contains function that can activate some operations on the asset, such as destroying it. So that's the kind of functions you want to make sure that whichever contract you're buying from is transparent, preferably has been audited, or someone can read the code and confirm that there is no backdoor or any other malware in that contract. So that's what I would call a good NFT: decentralized file, clear contract, published, no backdoor, and preferably as close as possible to the original models published by the Ethereum Foundation.
Yeah.
All right, and then Alexandra has one more question. With this shift in culture from possession to trading, is there a possibility for the creation of a platform similar to Masterworks, where investors can buy fractional shares of a pooled NFT investment fund? Okay, who's in the banking world? Who's already heard about NFT investment funds? Carlos, maybe?
Yeah, so very good question. And by the way, I think this is going to be one of the disruptive aspects of NFT once we can combine that with crypto finance, because this is actually what crypto investors are doing. In our case, for me, what was more like, how can I control that the money that comes into the NFT is clean money, right? And for that, actually, WISeKEY developed what we call trusted coin, which is a cryptocurrency that will be used as a way to do your KYC process inside the WISe.ART platform. We are releasing that by the end of the year with an IDO. Although we are not really want to be on cryptocurrencies because this is a complex market and requires a specialization, we really team with very interesting financial advisors on this, like ScaleSwap and iEconomy, and we are learning from them that once you are creating your own cryptocurrency into the platform, you can fraction that in many different ways, which can go on the royalty payment as well. You know, if you want an NFT and you don't want to sell it, but you want to lend it because you want to lend, for instance, to galleries, and you want to get the crypto payment. This is part of the model, but this is going to evolve enormously in the months to come. There's a good question there on the book industry. I think we talk a lot about art, but we don't talk enough about books. And the question is how to incentivize book authors to NFT their books and receive additional revenue each time a book is being resold, even as a second-hand book. Actually, we are doing an NFT of a book. Actually, it's a book that is a bestseller in the United States with the name Transhuman Code, which is a book I co-wrote with an American. And what we are doing with that book is that we are NFTing the book. So the rather of distributing the book through a traditional publisher, which, as you know, getting something like 40% of the book, and then by the end of the day, you only get about 10% of the book. The person buying the NFT buys the total economic value of the book. And this is it could be a very interesting investment, because obviously if the books resells by millions, then you make a lot of money with the NFT. But it's also a way of financing writers, because many writers, before they can publish the book, they have to go through that selection process or getting their book accepted by a publisher. And 99% of the books, as you know, they will never be published. So this is a new way of book authors to NFT their books, raise the money, sometimes even before writing the book, which is another important thing, because you just can, it's like making a movie, you can submit on a script. And based on the money you're going to raise on the NFT, then you will have enough money to manufacture the movie or the book. So NFT is a perfect vehicle for writers, and I encourage them to do NFT on writer. The NFT of the Transhuman Code is going to be the first ever been done in this industry. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of learning points there that we can share with other book authors.
You also have an NFT created with the Chinese government on the first currency ever produced, right? That's an interesting story.
Yeah, this is public information, so we can disclose. So we team with the China Museum, Finance Museum, which is one way, there's a network of museums in China that they had been collecting the financial history of the country from the first note, that it was actually the note that Marco Polo brought back to Europe, and that becomes the first printed financial note ever, the currency ever in Europe. So this is 1,250 year. I mean, the year 1,250 so it's very old. It's before even the year 2000 Christ, and we are using in our own calendars. And the idea with that is actually NFTs are not forbidden in China, contrary to cryptocurrencies. So China is a very interesting market because Chinese are, as you know, big collectors. and NFTs are authorized in China. So we are using this momentum where Chinese cryptocurrency investors cannot own them to shift the focus now to the NFTs. And this is something that has been even announced. Alibaba had just announced an NFT platform which runs in a private blockchain, which is an interesting scenario there, you know, because they are privatizing the entire blockchain process, which is very unusual. But yeah, so we're going to be running this historical currency, which is going to be, it's very symbolic. We moved from the first ever currency to the latest ever technology instrument and financial instrument. So it's a good learning curve to educate the Chinese population.
Yeah, no, it's great. Now, talking about Asia or other parts of the world, Saskia, in your experience with artists, you know, in the contemporary world, we've talked about the Chinese contemporary, we've talked about the Russian contemporary, etc. And then there's the emerging artists and the sort of, you know, ethnical world, put it that way. Do you find that NFTs are worldwide, like you have as many Asian artists working with them as Europeans, or is it an American thing more, or what would you say? Or does it matter?
Yes. It's, you know, we are also just at the beginning of our research. From the artists that we, you know, that we have been working with and are working with are mainly from Europe and North America. But we also have a very interesting African artist on the roster. Not yet an Asian artist, but I know that it's a very wide field. But as I said, we're at the beginning of it, and with, you know, with NFTs being traded often in Ethereum and on the Ethereum platform, China cracking down on cryptocurrencies like every 6 weeks. That was not, that hasn't happened yet. Yeah, but you know, there's a large scene exploring all possibilities of digital art in China, as it is a very, you know, artistically young culture with a lot of digital natives, like Michael Schufu-Hang with his X Museum, you know, they exploring, especially, of course, during the pandemic, this had, like everywhere in the world, this got a major push. So it's an exciting, you know, it's an exciting world to be explored.
Yeah, and I think as well, I attended a conference at Art Basel where artists are actually cross-selling, quote unquote, their art. So, I mean, you might have, well, as I mentioned before, I knew Steve Aoki as a DJ, but he's now also become an artist. And there was another lady there, she was a woman artist who was a painter, but then was also recording her own voice and doing NFTs on the voice that was created. The art was actually being created by the different tonalities of her voice. So there's a lot of exploration going on.
Another point which I think is important for the mass market aspect of NFT is that Apple just announced that they are going to reduce the iTunes fee, you know, which is about 30% of apps for NFT. So that means that if you use mobile NFTs and you create them with iPhone, you will not be subject to the 33%, 34% that Apple charges for any other app usage. And another thing is TikTok just announced the NFT on video. I mean, what about that? I mean, so you have now, and this is where I am very confident that this is going to become mainstream, because that you know, you have now very large ecosystems of companies that they are running a lot of users, and they are facilitating the access of and the creation on NFTs directly from their mobile phones into their social media. Obviously, that is going to create a huge demand of cybersecurity, identification, traceability, cold storage, and decentralization to be sure that you're not going to lose the NFT, as Fabian was mentioning. But the trend is there. I mean, there's unstoppable. You know, I lived the year 2000 when I created WISeKEY was 1999. So we saw the .com revolution that suddenly everybody started to do websites. We are in the same process now. So we're going to have the same regulatory focus in the next month. So it's going to get more serious, but the expansion is already there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Carlos mentions a mobile application with NFT, and I've seen a question from David who asks, the new smart contract EIP 3664 is going to improve NFTs and how. And this new generation of NFTs that are still in development, okay, it's not yet completely released, but some people are using it already, is going to allow, especially in mobile application, the gamification of NFT at the next level, because NFTs are going to be able to have components, characteristics, and traits that will be interchangeable. So you could have an NFT with, say, in gaming at least, a character, and you'd be able to trade some traits of this character for other traits with other players. And so the mobile world is going to benefit from that. And I can only imagine in the art world, it's going also to be impacted maybe with recombinable artworks or things like that, where more transaction between collectors could happen. So that's also a very exciting development in technology, to answer David's
It's
great
also
question.
happening, I think, in the sports world, where you can have your Hall of Fame of basketball players, or then create your games. We have another question from Simon Pierre. He's in Luxembourg, and he's asking, thanks for the compliment. He says hello to everyone and says it's a very high quality webinar, so thank you for that. But he's wanting to know, how is the development of NFTs affecting the physical art fair and relationship between artists and galleries? I don't know, again, Saskia, I have my own opinion on that. I think both worlds will live side by side for a very long time and will continue to do so. I mean, at the end of the day, artists are still flesh and bone, aren't they? What do you think? Yeah.
I agree, you know, and it's still an experiment how NFTs will, for instance, be displayed at art fairs, or what role they're going to play. But what's 100% sure is that they will play a role in one way or another, a big role. And the relation artist gallery, you know, one of the so-called emancipatory aspects of NFTs, the community says, would be to get rid of the gatekeepers, you know. And very often galleries are seen as gatekeepers, and we understand ourselves in a very different way. We understand ourselves as people who create possibilities for artists, and so we experience that most artists that we invite, you know, that we work with them and their NFT productions are very happy, you know, to collaborate with us. And at the same time, of course, what is fascinating is that this is not a 100% requirement. And, you know, OpenSea is called OpenSea for a reason, you know, because it's open, and the 70-year-old girl who paints on her iPad, you know, can mint her NFT as well as, you know, Damien Hirst. And this is a fascinating aspect, which I heard it before, of course, works also the other way around, that, for instance, people from the tech community that are more used looking on screens all of a sudden discover the art world, and the other way around. But I don't think that galleries are here as gatekeepers, but with our 30 years of expertise, we might give, you know, it's just a suggestion from our side to suggest, oh, this is what we find interesting, and this is what we like to suggest to our audience. But there are so many different audiences that there's no standard way to go. But our expertise with the new technology and the artists together is what we can offer. You know, and it's not a gate, you know.
No, I think you're right, and I think it's a business. And again, back to each doing their core thing, what they know best. An artist is a creator, and I think, I mean, from the artists whom I've met and often discussed with, I mean, they're looking for advice, they're looking for a guiding hand, they're looking for the commercial side of things, which comes with a gallery. I mean, every artist dreams of being represented by a gallery at the end of the day. So even if this is changing a little bit now in the metaverse, I think at the end of the day, the expertise is still what's going to be reassuring. An artist has to create. I mean, he makes art. And Yeah.
And Sixtine, there are artists now very self-conscious in the NFT world that don't want to work with the gallery, but that's perfectly fine.
Fine, absolutely.
That's the metaverse. You know, that's what we're all in this together, and everybody, you know, does, and we're not afraid of this either. You know, it's yeah.
Exactly.
We're coming close to the end here. We have 5 minutes. I've got one more questions from Marcella, who says, can we secure against NFTs going to the dark web and the crime scene? So yeah, you go to Carlos and you come to WISeKEY and you get the security in place.
We gotta go to Carlos and consult with him.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question, which is, but bottom line is the dark web and cryptocurrency mix very well. You know, I am also working with PMI and other companies on illicit trade, you know, because illicit trade is a $1 trillion problem. It's 5% of the global economy goes to illicit trade. And that's why you need, NFT should not be something that increments that problem. That problem is already big enough by itself. You know, the criminality of the world is actually funded by this problem. So I think NFT has a unique opportunity to reverse that process, because every counterfeited object is actually an object that does not have an NFT. You cannot have an NFT of a counterfeited object. So the NFT is also a proof of legitimacy, that this object is actually real, that the IP belongs to the brand, and so on. So NFT is not only I sell my piece of art. NFT is also LVMH or Philip Morris or any of those very big companies being able to use this technology for authentication and traceability of their products. So I think this is the way we need to see this. It's a way to reduce this $1 trillion dark economy.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. And then as much as artists are creative, I think criminals are just as creative. So we're going to have to be ahead of the game. Okay, well, as I said, we've got 4 more minutes to go. I'd like to announce another webinar in the future, probably in November. We're going to reduce the speed a little bit to probably 1 a month, and it'll be on the Asian art market. We will keep you informed. The recording will be on YouTube under the Geneva Business School channel in the next few days. And also we will all share it on the social media. So sign up to the Nagel Draxler Gallery, to WISeKEY, to Artnet, and then you'll get all the news. I'd like to thank all of you. I'm not sure, I'll go through Saskia first, if you have a closing word for us.
Maybe the closing word would be the most interesting NFT art, I think, is yet to come, you know, because the new technology, as Walter Benjamin used to say, is being executed in the aesthetics of the era past first. And so it's an interesting future, and we're looking into the next 20 years.
Fantastic. Look forward to it. Fabian, what's your next 20 years look like?
Oh, the next 20 years, that's way too long in the future to think of. But I can tell you the next 6 months will definitely be extremely exciting, with a lot of opportunities, especially with Artnet, but also in the world of cryptos at large. And I don't dare to imagine what the world will be in 20 years, but probably NFT will be there. That's my guess.
That's for sure. I think so too. And Carlos, I'll leave as my co-host. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll let you close off.
Yeah, so just thank you very much for the excellent moderation and for the participants. As I believe this is a teamwork. I think we have to learn from each other. I think this convergency of art into technology is very similar to what happened in the Renaissance. You remember, where Leonardo da Vinci started to get inspired by architects and geographers and others. So that conversion is happening again. Now the art world is coming into the technology world, and vice versa. This is going to be very disruptive, because those are different part of the brain that normally do not connect, and now they are connecting. So I think this is a very, very inspiring moment. I think we should not see that as a competition course, but also as an interoperability, decentralization, and cooperation. So very glad to be part of that team that is helping to get this right.
I couldn't agree more. I think the two worlds are taking up a lot of our time. Some say that the younger generations are spending 7.5 hours on the net. I think the Chinese are trying to legally reduce that, but yeah, I'm sure young people will find a way around any sort of restrictions in timeline on the net. But it's definitely taking, it's two worlds that need to live side by side, and as you said, that need to integrate one another, and it'll be perfectly fine. It's just
they're living on the metaverse. When I talk to them, the young people, they're telling me, actually, we are already on the metaverse and we log out to the metaverse to become into reality. But we are by default log in on the metaverse, which is a concept we don't understand with our generation, right? We need to log in. They are already in, they need to log out, which is a very interesting perspective. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody. And you'll hear from us very soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.